Welcome to video 5. In this video, we're going to look at what it really takes to change not just a coping behavior or addictive behavior, but really begin to heal and get rid of what drives the addictive behavior. Because really, if you don't get to the core of what's driving addictive behavior, remember in a previous video we talked about you just have to find a new way to cope, because what the addiction was there for hasn't changed. So you have to find a new way to cope. And in my experience over the years, some people change, an addiction for a worse addiction. Remember, we called it like changing seats on the Titanic. So we really talked about this limbic system and how it controls our cravings and our reactions, both good and bad. But in this video, is really important. It's probably one of the core subjects of the understanding of this mystery of self-destructive behavior. Is this limbic system is what the Bible and others call the heart. You think about, maybe just pause this video for a minute and just think about what songs and poetry and movies and the Bible, whatever comes to your head about the heart. We talk about the thoughts and intentions of our heart. Our heart got broken. Well, we're not talking about the thing that beats in our chest, are we? We're talking about something else that is the center of ourselves, and it's a mystery, of how our heart gets captured. You say some people have a good heart, some people have a bad heart. Jesus talks, about the heart, all over in the Bible, about it's not only a place of deception and sin, but it's also the place he wants to be. So this limbic system is basically what we call the heart. Now, the dictionary, Blind's Dictionary, what it calls the heart, it says the heart is the center of our beliefs and emotions. The human heart, is considered the source or the center of our emotional life, and where our deepest and sincerest and most unconscious feelings, belief, and are located. So it's really interesting, this thing about the heart. Is we all talk about it, but we really don't know what we're talking about it. So let's look once again, like we did in James with this mystery of disease, what the Bible has to say about the heart. And one thing you'll learn in Genesis is everything I do, especially Christianity, is, we call it practical Christianity. Knowledge that you can't apply, what good is it? And the Bible says knowledge that you can't apply just puffs people up. Of course, I think that's why we have a lot of pharisaical arguments. Okay? But in Romans 10, verses 9 and 10, Paul's talking about this practical part of salvation and being born again and the understanding of it. And so, starting in verse 9, it says, "But what does it say? The word is near you, in your mouth and in your heart. That is the word of faith which we are preaching. That if you confess with your mouth, that Jesus is Lord, and you believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved." Now listen to this. He says, "For with the heart a person believes, resulting in righteousness." So think about it. So our beliefs are in our heart. And the result of these beliefs in our heart is righteousness. And what is righteousness? It's just how we act. It's right behavior, right motives. It's doing God's will. It's being the kind of person we want to be. So I'll say it again, because it says in our heart is where our belief systems are. And it's these belief systems that really control our behavior. And then it says, with the mouth you confess, resulting in salvation. And of course the last verse of it, whoever believes in him will not be disappointed. I have a handout I'm going to put on my website. If you go on the website under handout pages, there's a sheet that looks at the heart biblically and what the limbic system does, and you'll see that they're pretty much the same thing. So The real practical application of this is this bottom line, another of my bottom lines. If you want to change your behavior, you have to change your heart. And that's why we've missed it as far as being very successful with addictions all these years, is we keep trying to change addictive behavior with information. You know, we're trying to change it with our heads, with our willpower, with our discipline, okay? The things we're in control of. Well, if we could control addiction, we wouldn't have an addiction in the first place. So what it tells us, both the neuroscience of this, and which, you know, backs up the Bible, is that if you want to change your behaviors, you have to change your heart. And, you know, I'll tell you, I have learned more about the Bible from studying the brain than I have in all the Bible schools, missionary schools, and Bible studies I've been to. It just is so cool because it explains, you know, why and how the New Testament works. Yeah. This also explains, you know, kind of the neurochemical or the neurochemistry of the brain of how being born again works. Okay? So when we ask Jesus into our life, into our problems, where do we ask him into? We ask him into our heart. Well, I would think we would ask him into my head or my willpower, you know, or my soul or my spirit or something. But he says, no, we ask him into our heart. And why? And this is the difference between the Old Testament and the New Testament. The Old Testament says you can be right with God by self-righteousness, obeying all the rules and sacrifices and doing everything right. Well, it didn't work. But the hard thing, which is grace and the mercy of God, is that Jesus set us free from the law, set us free from the Old Testament by saying, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to get right. You don't have to, you know, clean up your act. You don't have to be sinless. You don't have to read the Bible. You don't have to obey the law. All you have to do is come to me and ask me into your heart, and I'm going to begin to change your life. And how does he do that? Okay. Well, he does that by, once he comes in to our heart, he begins to change our belief systems. You know? And when he changes those belief systems, it begins to change our behaviors, which is our sin, which he came to us for. Okay? Another thing that Jesus tells us, he says, if you become my disciple, okay, that you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Okay? So what he's saying is, in those days, the disciple wasn't just like a student. It was like going in the army or something, that the rabbi or your teacher had disciples that control their whole lives. Okay? And so Jesus says, if you give me control of your life, okay, that I'm going to come into your heart, and there's going to be a result that's going to set you free. What does the truth set us free from? Well, it sets us free from lies. And that's what we've discovered. It's these unconscious, faulty belief systems that are in this place of our limbic system, our heart, that drives our destructive behaviors. And changing those belief systems is what changes our emotions that drive our behaviors. So this is why this new information about healing what is driving our self-destructive addictive behavior is so powerful. And of course we've been doing it for 30 years, and the bottom line of it is it works. So in the next video, we're going to talk a little bit about how this belief system, you know, how these changes happen in our belief systems, and both, you know, biblically and through, you know, recovery tools. Okay, I'll see you in the next video.